Chair. And thank you, as well as the members, for hearing this bill. I accept, from the get-go, I accept the amendment proposed by the chair and your staff. AB 643 expands the Silver Alert program to also activate an alert via changeable message signs. Existing law allows CHP to activate a Silver Alert, a notification system that alerts the public when a person who is 65 years of age or older, developmentally disabled, or cognitively impaired has been reported missing. 6 in 10 people with dementia will wander. A person diagnosed with Alzheimer's may not remember his or her name or address, may have difficulty recalling recent events, and can become disoriented, even in familiar places. According to CHP, in 2013, there were 161 Silver Alerts activated. Only 10 of those victims were located. In 2014, 164 Silver Alerts were activated, and 11 victims were located by the alert. This bill will strengthen the reach and will improve the Silver Alert by making it consistent with the Amber Alert. Based on a 2012 figure, California motorists travel a total of 326 billion miles annually. This bill will allow the alert to reach millions of motorists and improve the likelihood of finding a missing senior citizen. With me are 2 witnesses, one from the sponsoring organization with the senior legislature, as well as someone representing the Alzheimer's Association.
Please continue.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Susan DeMorris. I am with the Alzheimer's Association, representing all of the local chapters in California. We support this bill and we thank the author for carrying it. Just to give you a picture of the context, we have about 600,000 people in California living with Alzheimer's disease, and 60%, as you heard from the author, will wander. So this is something on a daily basis that could impact about 350,000 Californians. We work directly with families, individuals and families with the disease, and over and over we hear that this has never happened before and they were unprepared. So by activating this in certain circumstances, we think it will help families that are unprepared for this often tragic incident. Thank you for your support.
Next witness in support.
Good afternoon. I'm Senior Senator Lola Young with California Senior Legislature, and we are proud sponsors of this bill. But more importantly, I became aware of the need for this type of legislation long before I was a senior. I was a young lady of 40 at the time when I glanced out my window and there was a lady out there that was obviously lost, so I went to see if I could help her. And the lady told me that she was looking to see her daughter. And I asked her where the daughter lived, and she explained to me that her daughter lived on Presidio Street. Well, this lady not only was aware that she was lost, the problem was she thought she was lost in San Francisco. We were not in San Francisco. I lived less than 3 blocks away from the entrance to Highway 99 in South Sacramento. Fortunately, I was able to convince her that she needed to stop and rest and have a spot of tea. And while I was fixing her tea, my late husband called the police and we got this lady the help that she needed. I have never forgotten her, and it's because of the fact that I was so concerned that we were so close to the entrance of the freeway. Had I not been able to detain her, it would have been very easy for her to wander onto that freeway, and Lord knows what happened. At that time, there was no silver alert, so anything could have happened. and I have, when our my colleague Joseph Mercy first started talking about the Silver Alert, it became a thing of special importance to me, because I remembered that little lady. It brought home to me that a person with dementia of any kind is not necessarily confused. This lady wasn't confused. She knew she was lost. The problem was she believed she was in San Francisco. And that's why we need to help these people. We need to have something in place that will protect our seniors.
Thank you. Next witness.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Melissa Cortez Roth on behalf of the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. Last year, the Silver Alert system was expanded to include individuals with developmental disabilities. So this is an important bill to help locate those missing children who do wander off. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
Any other members of the public that would like to testify in support of this bill? Please state your name and your representation.
Daniel Savino, Association of Regional Center Agencies. ARCA represents California's 21 nonprofit regional centers coordinating services for nearly 280,000 people with developmental disabilities. We're proud to support Senator Torres's bill last year, creating this expansion, and are very much pleased to support the member's bill here to add this the changeable signs as an option for getting out the word. It's a very worthy goal, and we're very strongly in support.
Bob Giovatti with the State Council on Developmental Disability as well. The Council has not adopted a formal support position on this bill at this time. We fully expect they will. We believe in what this bill does, and we are here to offer our support in concept. Thank you.
Any members of the public that wish to testify in opposition of this bill? Seeing none, any questions of the committee? Ms. Kemp?
Well, thank you, Assemblyman Nazarian, for bringing this bill forward. I agree, and I think my colleagues up here all agree that we must do everything we can to recover at-risk missing persons, and the elderly, seniors, and developmentally disabled people are no exception. I just want to make a point for the record that potentially there is a point of potentially jeopardizing federal dollars to our state's transportation system. But because they made an exception to Amber Alert, I'm very optimistic that Silver Alert safety messages will also apply. So with that, I will be supporting your bill today. And I again thank you, witnesses, for coming forward to share your story.
Any other questions from members of the committee?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much for bringing this bill forward. Speaking for a 101-year-old grandfather who also suffers from this problem. Although he is no longer driving, he is wandering off as he's getting his morning exercise. I will draw attention to an issue in the outside of my district, High Desert, Yucca Valley. 85-year-old man going to get a routine haircut, lost and found in Amarillo, Texas, several days later, and certainly was found safe. But one of the challenges we have is that the lack of infrastructure, the actual billboards, are not located throughout certain rural parts of the state, Riverside County, Imperial County, and some parts of San Bernardino being some of these areas. And so as much as we, and I know for speaking for myself, support the bill, I'd like for us to put some attention on the matter of the actual infrastructure needed to be able to put the alerts out at some point. And I know this is not this bill, but I just wanted to call attention to that problem that we have in certain parts of California.
Move the bill.
Thank you, and that only speaks to the effectiveness of the bill to want it in other locations, so I appreciate your comment.
Ms. Campos.
Assemblymember Nazarian, I also want to say thank you for bringing this forward. I know that there have been attempts to move this forward in the past, and it hasn't been successful at the governor's desk. But I think as we continue to see our population age, and they're living with us longer, that we need to make sure that they're safe, as well as when we have young individuals that may wander away from their parent, and we're able to provide an avenue to recover our children. The other thing that I hope that we're also mindful of is that as we continue to put out different alerts, that we need to think about how we distinguish which alerts are catching the eye of the person driving. We know that there are several bills that are moving forward that also want to, today's time to vote and all these other things. But this is a crucial area, and how do we continue to make sure that these are getting the priority versus other information as well as the Amber Alerts. But I think that this is timely. I appreciate the witnesses sharing their stories, and I'm sure there are hundreds of stories out there where families are facing this and not having an avenue. And also my colleague, the infrastructure, so that we're reaching all populations.
Ms. Melendez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Nazarian, I agree with the members who have spoken here, and certainly your witnesses who have testified that this is certainly an increasing need. But my concern is that we are using these changeable signs for many more things now than what they were originally intended to be used for. We have messages now about the drought. We have messages now about Amber Alert. We have, as Ms. Campos stated, we have some who want to put messages about voting. So my concern, and I wonder if you share this, is if it will be so diluted that people will pay less attention to the signs that are being posted. Do you have any concerns at all about that? Because that's where my concern is that people will eventually not pay attention.
Thank you for the question, and those are issues that we discussed with the sponsors as well. It's part of the reason why I took some of the amendments so that this only impacts elderly that may be in vehicles that have wandered off in their vehicle. But the other issue, and I'm not going to put you in a difficult spot of having Ms. Young respond back to you. So
you can have her respond. That's okay.
I'll do the response, unless if there's something you'd like to say. But
through the chair, of course.
Part of this process also is that CHP has discretion over what gets posted or not, and Caltrans executes what CHP advises them to. Or directs them to, I should say. So there's already quite a bit of discretion in prioritizing coming from the viewpoint of public safety embedded in the system, and I trust that process. This is just merely adding one more layer of an event that could potentially be caught if we have enough information about the circumstance to be able to alert individuals around the vicinity. And this is not throughout the state. This will impact only a specific geographic area.
Okay, and then just one final question, Mr. Chair, if I may. So in my area, we have, I signed up what's called NIXL. And so when I'm sure you're familiar with that. So when we have disabled persons or, perhaps some seniors with dementia or Alzheimer's, I get that alert on my phone, much like an Amber Alert. So there is a system already in place. I wonder now why you want to add the changeable signs to it when we have something already in place to identify those at-risk seniors for those who are in that concentrated area.
Not everyone receives NIXL. NIXL initially started out as a public safety, law enforcement-based website or email program. Mm-hmm. And so who was privy to it was primarily folks in law enforcement and or elected officials or folks in that cadre. I think it's more and more become much more widely used now, but it's still an issue of being aware and subscribing to that app. And let's be honest, on a day-to-day basis, not everyone is going to be subscribing to this, but if they take a moment and look up on the screen of a freeway while traversing, that might offer enough information. I'll stop there and I'll see if Lola or Susan have something to say or to add.
The problem is not that the person that we're looking for is in a vehicle. The person that we're looking for is probably on foot and has wandered onto the freeway accidentally. The changeable signs will alert the motorist. I just happened to look out the window. Had I been in the car and she had been on the freeway, I rarely even see the side of the road when I'm on the freeway, but if I saw a sign that said there's a missing person, then I might pay more attention to what's on the side of the road. It would keep me from passing up someone. I would at least notice that that somebody needed help. But generally, when I'm driving, especially when I'm driving on the freeway, I rarely ever see what's on the side of the road. I'm focused on what's in front of me. And so this changeable sign, and as the member said, this is not a statewide, we're not asking a statewide. They do not generally wander more than in their own city, so it would be simply in the vicinity of the disappearance. It would not be the whole state.
Thank you for that answer. So we do have a first and a second, and Mr. Nazarian, I really do thank you for considering and taking the amendments. I know it's narrower than you'd hope for, but I think it strikes a good balance on the concerns for missing persons and also maintaining effectiveness of these safety signs and driver distraction. So thank you so much, and I will be supporting the bill. So Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is a do pass as amended to the Committee on Aging and Long-Term Care. Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Ashajian.
Aye.
Ashajian, aye. Baker.
Aye.
Baker, aye. Bloom. Campos. Campos, aye. Chu. Chu, aye. Daly. Daly, aye. Dodd. Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez. Kim.
Aye.
Kim, aye. Linder. Linder, aye. Medina. Medina, aye. Melendez. Melendez, aye. Nazarian. Nazarian, aye. O'Donnell. O'Donnell, aye.
14-0, your bill is out, Mr. Nazarian. Congratulations. We'll keep the roll open for any absent members. Mr. Dodd, you're next. We have AB 863.
AB 863 makes several changes to emergency exit requirements for modified limousines. In 2013, SB 109 by Senator Corbett included a number of safety requirements for modified limousines, such as emergency pop-out windows and specific door requirements. The following year, SB 611 by Senator Hill established a limousine inspection program and made a number of other changes, including clarification on the types of vehicles that are considered modified limousines. By making these clarifying changes, SB 611 unintentionally changed the emergency window and door requirements specified under SB 109. AB 863 would correct previous inadvertent drafting errors and clarify that only new limousines are required to add a fifth door. Additionally, in order to ensure existing modified limousines currently in operation have sufficient time to meet the emergency window requirements, this bill also extends the implementation date to January 1st, 2017. With me today in support of this bill is Dave Kinney, who owns and operates API Global. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, my name is David Kinney. I'm here on behalf of the Greater California Livery Association. I'm one of the board members. We represent the 5,000 limousine operators in the state of California. As Mr. Dodd had indicated, I also own a company here in Sacramento and have worked closely with the CHP on several issues as we've addressed some of the safety issues that have come up over the years with the legislation. I want to let the committee know that the GCLA and our members support this bill. We're hoping to have an opportunity to put in safety measures that are good for our customers and also have the ability to actually implement them in a timely manner. I work closely with the CHP at their office. They've also come out to my office on several occasions. We've measured limousines. We've torn apart limousines. We've tried to find ways to make those limousines accommodate to SB 109. And I'm not going to speak for the CHP. It is very difficult in the time frame that we have. We've worked with them to help put together regulations that need to go into place, and we don't have the time right now. We don't even have those regulations in place to be able to accommodate. There are some 5,000 to 10,000 standard stretch limousines in the state of California that will need to be modified. And what we're asking for is clarification on this bill, and also we're asking for some additional time to make sure that we can put these provisions in place. If we don't, what we're going to end up with is a whole bunch of illegal operators, and the general public is going to be at risk, which is not what we want for our industry. It's also not what we want for our clients. And so therefore I ask for your support on this bill.
Any members of the public would like to testify in support of this bill?
Mr. Chair.
Just a second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Dodd, for bringing forward this bill. I do support the bill. I want to add a comment and also invite your reaction as well as Mr. Kinney's. As some may know, one of the inspirations for the original bill was a horrific limousine fire in the Bay Area that killed 5 women, including Narisha Fojas, Filomena Garanga, Michelle Estrella, Jennifer Balan, and Anna Alcantara. They were not able to get out of the vehicle. Ms. Balan actually was a constituent of mine. My kids go to school with her daughter. And so it's very important that these modifications be made. And I support the bill because it's necessary to have time to make these modifications. And I just add the comment that this not be something that goes much longer. The fire was 2 years ago this August, and it identified a tremendous need to have an ability to allow people to escape the vehicle in a very quick amount of time. So I don't know if you want to comment on...
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I think those are great comments, and I'll let Dave speak to it. But just briefly, as I got involved in this and really researched this, and I went up and talked to Senator Hill about the bill, I think Senator Hill really hit it. This was really a training issue at its very root. At the end of the day, what happened was this limousine was completely overloaded. It just was the driver, was on the phone with his boss and on the phone with his wife during this time. The training was just absolutely, haphazard, and he got it right, I think, in his bill, mandating the appropriate training. First of all, they overloaded the vehicle by a number of people, and that's what caused the fire. Also, this was the only fire. This is the only incidence of this that was found, not only in the state of California, but in the United States. Right now, on brand new cars, they're going to do the extra. They're moving forward, and these kick-out windows. It's just a matter of getting the CHP to get their regulations and giving them time to do it. But there will be that is something that we're not trying. I'm not trying to move a bill that'll get around that requirement. We have every intent to move that forward.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. It was heart-wrenching and disgusting what happened in our industry. And it hasn't happened before, it hasn't happened since, and none of that matters. People died using our services, and that's very difficult for us. The general public relies upon us as providers of transportation, but also trust and safety. Those are incredibly important things in our industry, like it is in any transportation, school buses, charter buses, airlines. In the process of the legislation, there have been several other things that have been put in place to make sure that our customers are safe. We have fire extinguishers which were not mandated before. Some of us had them, some of them didn't. Mandated now. We have those. We have safety speeches to talk about if something does happen, what should we do? We should do this, we should do that. There's procedures that are already laid out in place to make sure that our customers have a higher level of safety than they did. And I want to let you know we're not trying to kick this can down.
Well, that's what I'm making sure.
So,
I don't think I'm hearing that, because 2 months earlier there was another limousine fire, and so I'm just making sure that it's not something that will continue every year. We might see this.
Absolutely.
And I take it your word for that, and I very strongly support the bill, and I'm glad to see that the safety concerns are important, as well as training. Thank you.
So we'll go back on track. Is there any members of the public that would like to speak in opposition of this bill? Any members of the committee that would like to propose a question of the author? So, Mr. Dodd, I'll be supporting the bill. I did serve on this committee last year when this went through. We'll fix some unintentional drafting errors from previous legislation with this going forward, and we'll help the limousine industry meet safety requirements by extending the implementation and making sure that it's done properly and not rushed. I look forward to your bill being successful through the process. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is a do pass. Frazier?
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Ashajian?
Aye.
Ashajian, aye. Baker?
Aye.
Baker, aye. Bloom?
Aye.
Bloom, aye. Campos? Campos, aye. Chu? Chu, aye. Daly? Daly, aye. Dodd?
Aye.
Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez? Kim?
Aye.
Kim, aye. Linder? Linder, aye. Medina? Medina, aye. Melendez? Melendez, aye. Nazarian? Nazarian, aye. O'Donnell?
14-0, the bill's out. We'll hold the roll open for any absent members.
Thank you,
Congratulations,
Mr.
Mr. Dodd.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Daly, we'll go to AB 932, sir.